welcome back to Beyond the Studio Pilates. Today I want to take you through an energy boosting 30-minute routine that's going to work on flexibility and mobility of your whole body. I hope you really enjoy this. Feet together, heels come out, toes come out to meet you, little rock backwards and forwards, make sure that weight is evenly balanced. Then think about your knees, soft knees, remember pelvis tilted so that tailbone is down to the floor, scooping up that pelvic floor, so feel that internal squeeze, staying on floor 2. TVA, so drawing that belt up to the 10th notch and then slowly, with control, letting it off until you get to the 2nd or 3rd, holding it there for the rest of the session. Thinking about breathing, remember wide thoracic breathing, and then growing towards the ceiling. Think about stretching out through that spine. From here, you're going to interlace your fingers, bring your arms above your head, and we're just going to start with that little shoulder mobility exercise. So you're just creating a circle above your head, everything else is staying nice and still. Think belly button to spine, core engaged, pelvic floor on. And then taking it in the other direction. And then we're going to start to make that movement bigger. So you're going to start to create a bigger circle, keeping your hips still. So upper body moves. And then taking it in the other direction. Taking belly button to spine, core engaged. And 2. And final 1. And then coming back to the middle and stretching those arms out and away. From here, you're going to bring both hands up in front and then bring them out to the side, making sure your elbows roughly in line with your shoulder, core engaged. You're going to just push your arms back to the middle and then let them spring open. So I want you to imagine you've got a big spring between your hands. You're going to really push it back to the middle and let it spring open. Push it back to the middle and let it spring open. 3 more like this. Push back to the middle and let it spring open. 2 more. And final 1. And then bringing your arms down by your side. I'm going to reach to the right hand side and then stretch that arm up and over. Squeeze those obliques, come back to the top, and the other side, down, up and over. Squeeze those obliques, come back to the top. So as you're moving to the side, I want you to try and stay on that side plane of movement. So your elbow is coming up and over your ear, not in front of your face. Make sure your knees are soft. Think belly button to spine, keep that core engaged, pelvic floor on. And just stretching through each arm, making it longer as you go. Final 1 to each side like this, reaching up and over. And final time. And this time we're going to add on a roll forward. So we're going down, up and over, bending through your knees. Pick up that big beach ball, roll it all the way to the other side. Push through your feet back to the top and then let it go. And the other way, so down, up and over. Bending through those knees, rolling that ball round up to the top and let it go. Belly button to spine, core engaged, pelvic floor on and strong. We're just mobilising through that spine, just building some warmth through those muscles and joints. Final time to each side like this. And final 1. And then bringing those arms back down. Okay, from here, going to take your feet out so they're wider than hip distance apart. Core engaged, pelvis stays upright. So try not to lean your chest forward and your bum backwards. Think about going straight down into that kind of imaginary chair. From here, we're going to do 5 little pulses. So we're just going a little bit lower for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, as you push yourself back to Standing, I want you to think about the weight coming through your whole foot. So try not to be heel heavy. Think about keeping that weight evenly balanced between your heel and your toe. 5 pulses. 2, 1. Push back to the top, belly button to spine, core engaged, slowly down into the chair. 5, 4, 2, 1. Push yourself back to the top, core engaged, back down into that chair. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Push yourself back to standing. Final 2 like this. So slowly down, and then 5 little bounces. 2, 1, and push back, and final 1. Core engaged, slowly down, and 5 little bounces. 1, and push yourself back and bring your feet back into the middle. Okay. From here, you're going to move the weight into your left leg. Bring your right foot off the floor, and then you're just going to create a circle with your right foot. So I want you to imagine you're rolling a marble under that foot. So your foot is staying parallel with the floor. You're not pointing your toe as you move it out. So your circle is slow, small and controlled. And then taking it in the other direction. And then bringing that foot down, moving your weight to the other side, lifting that other foot and rolling through that marble. Thinking belly button to spine, core engaged. And then taking in the other direction. And then bringing that foot back down. And we're going to move on to a little balance. So if you have a block, you can place the block on the floor and challenge your balance a little bit more. If not, standing on the floor is fine. So you're going to stand on the block, core engaged. You're going to bring your right knee up in front. Then imagine you have a crayon stuck to your knee. You're just going to create a circle. Taking belly button to spine. Final 2, final 1. And then reversing that circle. Keep standing tall. Final 1. Then holding that leg there, and from here, you're just going to take that knee out to the side, and then bring it back. Take it out to the side, bring it back. Core engaged, trying to keep everything else nice and still. So try not to turn from your hips to the side. Think about the movement just coming through your leg. Final 2 and final 1. And then bringing your knee in line with your other knee, and then you're just going to push your foot backwards. Everything else nice and still, so try not to lean forward. Feel this in your glute. Keep thinking belly button to spine, core engaged. Final 5, 3, 2, 1, and then bringing yourself back to the floor, giving those ankles a little walk out. If you were standing on the block, flipping the block over, and you're going to place your other foot on the block. Core engaged, bringing your left leg up, starting with that circle. So only make your circle as big as you can keep yourself nice and still. So standing tall. Three, 2, 1, and then taking it in the other direction. So just mobilizing through that hip. 3, 2, 1, and then holding it there, core engaged. I'm going to take that leg out to the side and bring it back, out to the side and bring it back. So you can only take it out as far as you can keep your hips still, so try not to turn in the direction that the leg is moving. Think about standing tall if you need to hold on to something solid. Make sure it is solid and it's not going to move with you. Final 3. Final 1. And then bringing that leg in line with the other leg, core engaged, push that foot backwards. So again, trying to keep everything else nice and still. Growing towards the ceiling. Doing really well. Final 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And bring that foot down, giving those ankles a little walk out. And then we're going to do a quad stretch, so stretching out through the front of your leg. So if you do need something to hold on to, make sure it's something solid. Then you're going to pick your foot up, bring your foot in line with your pelvis, and then you're just pushing your knee backwards. And you should feel this through the front of your leg, holding it there for me. Just keep standing tall. And bring that leg down, and we're going to do the other side. So standing tall, picking up your foot, bring your foot to your bum, pushing your knee backwards so you get that stretch from your hip down into the front of your leg, holding it there. Holding there a little bit longer. And then bring that leg back down and giving those ankles a little walk out. And we're going to roll down to the mat. So you're bringing your feet back underneath you, knees are soft, taking an inhale at the top. Exhale, tucking your chin, leading with the crown of your head. You're going to slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time. So it's a nice, slow, controlled roll to the floor. When you get there, trying to keep your heels on the floor for as long as possible. And we're going to come into our next exercise, which is our leg pull prone. So you're coming into your high plank position. Core engaged. Make sure your pelvis isn't still stuck in the air. Then you're going to lift your left leg off the floor. You're going to push back as if you're trying to get your right heel to the floor, and then as you push that foot forward, you're going to bring your left knee forward. Come back to the middle, place your left foot on the floor. Core engaged, lift your right leg, stretch back as if you're trying to get your left heel to the floor, and then push forward, bring your right knee forward. Back to the floor. Belly button to spine, core engaged, hold, left foot comes off the floor, push back onto that right heel, forward, drive that knee forward, back in, belly button to spine, core engaged, right leg up, stretch back onto that left heel, and then drive that knee forward, and back to the middle. Going to do 2 more on each side. Core engaged, lift, stretch back. So you should feel that stretch in the back of your leg, and then push yourself forward. Back to the middle. Other side. Back, and then drive yourself forward. And back to the middle. Final time on each side, doing really well. Stretching back, and then driving forward. Back to the middle, lift, stretching back, and driving forward. Back to the middle, 1 foot down, 2 foot down, knees out to the side, stretch yourself back into your wide knees child's pose. Think about your shoulder blades driving down your back towards the back pockets of your jeans. Keep your head up so you're not cricking your neck. And then from here you're going to walk your hands around to the left hand side and take that stretch to the right hand side of your back, holding it there for me. And then coming back to the middle and walking your hands around to the right hand side, taking that stretch through the left hand side of your back for me. And then coming back to the middle, and we're going to come onto our left side and do our book and clam sequence. So you need a block or something under your head so that you can keep your neck in alignment. And we're coming down onto our left hand side to start with, making sure your hips and your shoulder are roughly in a line, core engaged. Think about pulling your ribs down towards your hips, keep that little gap under your lower side. Now when we get onto our clam, the further away from you take your legs, the more challenging it's going to become. So place them somewhere where you feel they're comfortable. Top hand comes so it's in parallel with the bottom hand. Core engaged, keeping everything else still. You're going to take an inhale. And you're going to exhale. Stretch that arm forward, bring it up in line with your shoulder. And you're going to rotate through that mid-spine. So think about your rib cage moving. Take your arm back behind you, take an inhale. And then exhale. Slowly, with control, fighting gravity, as you bring that arm back down. So it's a slow, controlled move back to your starting position. Try not to kind of really rush that arm coming down. Taking an inhale here for me. Exhale. Stretching that arm forward. So you're stretching through your shoulder. Your body isn't leaning forward, it's just your shoulder leaning forward. And then as you go back, it's coming through the mid-spine, so thoracic spine, rib cage moves. Take an inhale. Remember, wide thoracic breathing, so you're breathing from your rib cage, from your lungs, and not breathing from your belly. So keeping hold of those core muscles. Taking an inhale at the bottom. And exhale, stretch that arm forward, bring it up in line with your shoulder, rotate through that mid-spine, look to your fingers, inhale. And exhale. Slowly, with control, bring that arm back down. I'm going to do 3 more here. So taking an inhale at the bottom. Exhale. Up in line with your shoulder, rotate through that mid-spine, look to your fingers, inhale. And exhale. Slowly, with control, bring that arm back down to the mat. Holding at the bottom for an inhale, 2 more to go. Core engaged, think belly button to spine, pelvic floor on, keep those hips stacked, one on top of the other, and rotate back, holding at the back for an inhale. And then exhale. Slowly bring that arm back down. Holding here for an inhale. And then exhale, stretching that arm forward again. Final one here. Looking to your fingers and rotating through that mid-spine. Hold it there. And then exhale. Slowly bring that arm back down to the mat. So now moving your arms to wherever they're comfortable, so whichever kind of position makes sense for you. Top hand can come down in front if you need it for a little bit of support, or you can keep it on top of your hip. Then you're lifting that top leg and pretending there's something heavy on top of it. So something heavy on top of that leg. You're going to push it off as you open up from the knee. Heels are staying together, core engaged. And then exhale. Slowly, with control, bring that leg back to the floor. Holding at the bottom, keep those hips stacked one on top of the other. Inhale, exhale. Pushing that heavy object off the top of your leg, holding it there for an inhale. And then exhale. Slowly bringing it back down. Keep thinking belly button to spine, core engaged. Pelvic floor on. Pushing that heavy book off the top of your leg, holding it here for an inhale. And then exhale. Slowly bring that leg back down, holding at the bottom for another inhale. And exhale, pushing that heavy book off the top of your leg, holding at the top for an inhale. And then exhale, back to the floor. And final one here, belly button to spine, core engaged, pushing that heavy book off the top of your leg, holding at the top for an inhale. And then exhale, slowly back to the floor. Okay, from here we are coming onto our backs. So you're coming down onto your back, and the first thing we need to think about is that setup. So making sure your feet are hip distance apart, core engaged, really pulling your ribs down towards your hips. Little gap remains under that lower back and underneath your neck. Arms are just gently resting on the floor. To start with, we're just going to do a really tiny movement. So I want you to think about pulling those core muscles in, drawing that belt up to the 10th hole, and then just slowly letting it out to about the 8th hole, and then holding it there. And then you're just going to slide your left hip down towards your left heel, and then back to the middle. Then we're going to slide your right hip down towards your right heel, and then back to the middle. So you're just going left to left, right to right, back to the middle, left to left, back to the middle, right to right. So it's a really tiny move, and it's just kind of eliminating any stickiness in that lower back. So it's stretching out through those lower back muscles. So really nice little move, and it's really encouraging you to keep hold of those core muscles. So you should hardly be able to move your hips because your core is really stabilizing your whole kind of trunk. And one more to each side like this. And then coming back to middle, and from here we're going to bring both legs into tabletop, making sure your knees are over your hips, shins are parallel with the ceiling, core engaged. You're going to bring your arms down to next to your body, and then you're going to take an inhale. Then you're going to exhale, you're going to tuck your chin, and you're just going to curl yourself up. Stretch your fingers down towards your toes. Hold for an inhale, and then exhale. Come back to the mat, holding at the bottom for an inhale. And then exhale, curl and stretch. Hold for an inhale. And exhale, back down. So if you need to, you can always take one leg down to the floor or two legs down to the floor if you needed to make it slightly more easy. Holding at the top for an inhale. And then exhale, slowly coming back down. Make sure when you bring your head, neck and shoulders off the mat that you're tucking your chin and you're not flattening off your back, so that little gap remains under your low back. We're going to do two more like this. Belly button to spine, core engaged, lift and hold. And then exhale, come down. Final one, inhale. Exhale up, hold it. Exhale, back to the mat. Going to bring one leg down and two legs down. And then you're going to give yourself a full body stretch. And then we're going to come onto our other side of book and clam. So coming onto your right hand side, thinking about that setup again, so remember your shoulder and hips should be roughly in a line. The further away from your body you move, your legs, the harder your clam becomes, and your top hand is parallel with the bottom. Core engage, really pull your ribs down towards your hips, holding it here for an inhale. Then exhale, stretch that arm forward. Remember, you're just moving through your arm, not your body, and then rotating back through that mid-spine. Hold here for an inhale. And then exhale. Slowly, with control, bring that arm back down to the mat. Holding at the bottom for an inhale. Exhale. Stretch that arm forward, bring it up in line with your shoulder, and then rotate through your mid-spine. Look to your fingers, inhale. And then exhale. Slowly, with control, fighting gravity on your way back to the mat, holding at the bottom for an inhale. Exhale, stretching that arm forward, bring it up in line with your shoulder, then rotate through that mid-spine. Hold at the back, inhale. Exhale, slowly, with control, bringing that arm back to the front position, holding it here, core engaged, stretching through your shoulder, bring that arm up in line with your shoulder, and then rotating through that spine. Look to where your fingers are going, inhale. And then exhale, slowly bringing that arm back down to the starting position. We're going to do 2 more here. So stretching forward, core engaged, up into the air, rotate. Hold at the back, belly button to spine. Exhale, bringing that arm back down, slow, controlled movement down. Remember, you're fighting gravity as you bring that arm down. Final one here, stretching forward, reaching up. Try and make that arm longer every time you reach towards the sky, stretching it back behind you. Remember, keep your hips stacked one on top of the other. Taking an inhale and exhale. Bringing that arm back down. Okay, this time moving your arms to wherever they're comfortable. Core engaged, keeping your ankles glued together, and then you're pushing that heavy book off the top of your leg, holding at the top for an inhale. And then exhale. Slowly bringing that knee back down. Core engaged, pushing that heavy book off the top of your leg, holding it there. Keep your chin lifted. Inhale. Exhale, slowly back to the mat, holding at the bottom for an inhale. And exhale. Back to the top. Make sure you don't roll that hip back, so keep your hips stacked one on top of the other. Pushing that heavy book off the top of your leg, holding it here. Inhale. And then exhale. Slowly back to the mat. We've got 2 more to go here. So stretching up, pushing that heavy book off the top. Inhale. And then exhale. Back to the mat. Final time. Holding at the top. Inhale. And exhale. Slowly, with control, bringing that leg back to the floor. Then finding your way back to sitting. We're going to do a little stretch to finish. So you're going to bring your left leg up and over. Right arm is wrapping around, looking towards the left, stretching out through that piriformis. Sitting up nice and tall so you get a deeper stretch through that muscle. And bring that leg back down, bringing your right leg up, left arm is wrapping around, looking towards the right, sitting up nice and tall, get a deep stretch through that piriformis. Bring that leg back down. Coming to sitting, left hand to the floor, stretching that right arm up and over. And then bringing it back to the floor and bring that left arm up and over. And then coming back to the middle, and we're going to leave it there for today. Thank you for joining me for my energy boost this morning. I hope you feel boosted. Have an awesome day, and I will see you later. Thanks for joining me for my energy boosting session. I hope you feel really boosted and ready for whatever you've got going on today. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.